Hey, so in the studio today, have a gig at the weekend, and it's Wednesday, and I've got to try and settle my kit up in a different way than I usually would. So this is like a how-to video, I guess. I have to set my kit up for the weekend, and it's for a free party, so I don't really want to take everything because I've no idea where the venue is, and it would just be a nightmare anyway. It's a nightmare taking it to clubs, even if I can leave some stuff there every evening, which I fucking hate doing, but you know, sometimes it has to be done. So, yeah, I've got to take all the stands that I have and improvise something and get it chained up together. So, you're usually sitting where the beast is. She's about this big, she's fucking huge stands, racks from Jasper's. Most common question I get is where my stands come from. Thoman, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Jasper stands, they're awesome. Best money I ever spent on anything. Everything's right in front of you. So I have to recreate that with some dodgy Meridian stands I've got and some cable extenders. So again, how-to video. Welcome to the Dark Studio. Let's see. So I was just going to dive into the box and see what we got in the box. I'm going to tell you guys how I set stuff up and run through my audio, how routing and stuff like that. So yeah, should we just dive into the box? Get into the box. Box of toys. Welcome to Klein Life! Anyway, let's go. So, chaos pads. Fucking loads of chaos pads. Let's start with the most impressive one, which is the KP3 Plus. Chaos pad, touch it, and it affects, and I'll plug it in later. I'll do some sort of demo or something of the things. I'm pretty sure you all know what they do, but they're capable anyway. Your effects live up here. You can't really tweak them, but you know, anyway, you do that with them. Great little thing. I've got 4 of these in my setup, simply because I bought a quad, and it is essentially 4 of these in a setup, and I find the effects were just too harsh, and yeah, too harsh. Didn't quite like the beat repeat on them, and yeah, so ended up getting 4. It's a ridiculously expensive way to do it, but as most of my kit is secondhand or in trades, it kind of balances itself out, you know. I can't remember what I traded for this one. I think it was an elect drive and some other bits and pieces. I traded something for a drum station as well, which awesome trade. My advice to anyone is if you like something, go and have a look at it second hand, see if you like it. If you don't, you can always flip it and then get something else. Anyway, chaos pads. This one is pretty similar to this one. This is not the Plus, this is just the KP3. I'll show you routing options that I do for these guys a little later. It just means that there's different effects on them. Excellent. I don't know, there's something like 100 and don't quote me on this. There's loads of effects behind there. So yeah, you've got a touch of a button and then you twiddle the audio. Dead easy. KP3s. Alright, what else we got in the box? Probably going to be some more chaos pads. Microphone. Oliver's domain, really. We're so high tech here, we use hoodies as packaging. That needs to change. So yeah, as predicted, we have 2 more chaos pads. These are the 2nd generation chaos pads. Not quite as fancy as the 3rd generation chaos pad, but yeah, pretty funky nonetheless. I like this one for the beat repeat. It's got the best beat repeat for me on this one, and that's pretty much what I use these guys for. Seems like a bit of a waste and a bit of an expense, but if you want hands-on, then that's what you got to do. I've got 2 of these. One is connected to the Master Clock MIDI, and the other is not MIDI clocked at all and set to 1/3 of the BPM of these. I tend to write in 3 BPMs just so that I can lock it to the chaos pads. 147, 153 and 165. I will be working on a slightly faster set. I'm not too sure how fast that's going to be at the moment. These are the ones that do the beat repeat. That'll be these guys. Back into the box of tricks. Another hoodie, my therapy hoodie. So, the TB03, Roland's new clone of the TB303. Awesome. This is where most of the acid comes from. This is where the screamy lines in my sets come from. Is this one? It lends itself really, really well to doing screamy stuff. I have another TB for a TB clone for the bassliney kind of stuff, but that's the TB03. Awesome, awesome, awesome piece of kit for the price. You can, you know, for an original they're charging well over $1,000 these days, if not more. You can get 3 of these for the price of one of those. So TB03, awesome, awesome, awesome piece of kit. Still in the same layer. These are my effects pedals. These are the only guitar type effects pedals that I use. There's 3 of them. I can't hold 3, so here's 2. This is a slicer and this is a rotary delay. These go into the aux on the MX for mixing. Oh, we have a kitty. Oh, we have a kitty. Hello, Pudge. Oh. Pudge is a bit miffed because we brought a new cat into the house, an 8-year-old rescue cat. So we're giving Pudge as much love as we can. Say hello to the people, Pudge. There we go. Say hello to the people, Pudge. So this is my 1-year-old Pudge. She's a little princess. Anyway, enough kitten love. Get off, cat. I gotta do some shit. Fucking hairs. Anyway. So the third one is an echo delay, and they all run into each other and through a mini chaos pad into the MX. We'll get the MX out in a minute. Back in the box. More hoodies. Oh. Okay. This is the Roland SH32. I like this synth. It's very psytrancey. It's an old synth. It's about 17 years old, I think, and I've lusted after one ever since I started making music. They were pretty cheap on eBay. They are still kind of cheap, £200–300 sort of mark. And yeah, it's an awesome little box. It's aggressive. It's unruly, and if you tweak the filter too much, it's going to scream at you. You've got to really tame it. But it's got some awesome little noises in there, some awesome little noises. 17-year-old synth, 17-year-old synth, absolutely beautiful. Roland SH32, love it, love it, love it. And the last thing in this box, Zox Box, as I believe they're called, Mode Machines, TB303 clone again. Absolutely awesome. I use this one for its baser lines, because it sounds awesome. It's got a wonderfully rich, deep bottom end, and I love it for that. It's awesome. These are hand built. I didn't build it. I don't have the patience to build things. But yeah, 2nd generation Zox Box. And a couple of little mascots. Box number 2. I'm hoping to get these boxes down to like 1 when I take them at the weekend. I don't know how possible that's going to be. Roland's Touchline bass from their Era series. Oh, fucking hell. Box number 2. Roland's Touchline bass from the... You're going to have to edit this. From the Era series. It's green, just like me today. Touchline bass. Don't really use the touchscreen on it much, if I'm honest. But yeah, lovely little synth, capable of more than just 303 noises. I wish there was more tweakability to it. They could have really given this little thing some steroids and turned it into an absolute beast. Having saying that, I wouldn't do without it. Absolutely not. Item number 2. Roland's SP555 is a sampler. is an MPC style sampler, touchpads. Record stuff in by hair, put them to the pads, mess around with them. Drum beat, yeah, I did a little demonstration of this. Didn't go so smoothly, but I'll, yeah, walk you around this, the ins and outs, and what you do with this a little bit later. More from the box. Roland's MX1. Awesome! Love this piece of kit. Love, 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 love. Gets a lot of bashing for not having enough analog ins and outs. I agree. Roland needs to release another one. Anyway. Sits at the heart of my setup and handles all the audio coming into it and through it and out into your speakers so that you can hear me make a noise, which is usually what I do. Gets bashed a lot for not having enough analog inputs, and if you don't have any more ARIA, however you pronounce it, kit, these become pretty useless. So you've already got to have some, and I think I did. I think I had the TB at the time, TB3 at the time. So yeah, one of them's powered as well. I believe more updates on this probably are going to make others powered, but who knows. Let's hope Roland bring out another one. This one is absolutely awesome. There's a step sequencer on it. It thinks it's an instrument. It's awesome. Beat effects, master effects, mutes. It's an awesome piece of kit. It really is. It's even got some sort of mastering control. Am I in the right place? Yeah, mastering control over here, which just boosts the sound a little bit more. Awesome. Absolutely wonderful piece of kit. We've also got some tiny little chaos pads. I think I've got 3 of these in the big setup at the moment. I use 4 in the mini rig. We'll go through the mini rig another day, shall we? But yeah, mini chaos pads. Lovely little pieces of kit, like they're big brothers or sisters. Again, XY control. Woo 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 woo. Anyway, last thing in a box. Korg's EMX1. I've had this one for possibly 13 years. Highly recommend you rip the tubes out of these, the original ones, and replace them with something better. Much better. Much, much, much better. There are loads of things out on the market. There's some out there from Tesla, which I wouldn't mind trying at the moment. At the moment, these have got a pair of EEC gold pins. I don't remember the number after that. Anyway, gold pins. The sound is absolutely beautiful. It means I can really wrench the tube gain up, and yeah, analog saturation, tube, tube. We like a good tube. Valves. Replace the valves. Yeah. So I've had this one for 13 years. It's been with me for a long time. Don't really use the synth engine on it because I use it to control other things, and because the MX doesn't have enough outputs on it, I can't get the synth engine out of there at the moment. If they want to bring out another one with like twice the inputs, rock on, which I think they probably will do. So this is the main brain of my setup. You have drum parts here and then a few synth parts here. This one sends mostly MIDI from 2 and 3 to other synths in my collection, and you can control them via the ribbon slider. So she spits out MIDI to the MIDI through box and then to all the other synths to tell them to stop and start, to go, run when they need to, and keep them nice and tight. Any other information about the MX? So I'm going to try and set these up on the stands that I have, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'll get back to you in a minute when we need to hook some things up when they're all set up in place. Catch you in a bit. So, well, ta-da! Ba-boom. Anywho, 3 hours of messing around with the system, and this is what she looks like. I'll give you a close-up in a minute. Left a few of the important plugs unplugged so that you can see where things are plugged in. So, should we get on to that? Should we do some ins before we do some outs? Okay, so Roland's MX1. That's the mixer. So everything's going into, and at the moment in channel 1 we have the drums. Channel 2 we have the hi-hats and the rest of the percussion. On 3 we have the Zox box. On 4 we have the SH32, which is also running through a mini Chaos pad and then into the mixer again. Then the sampler is on this one on a phono to mini jack. The others are big jack, and that's a mini jack to big jack. Anyway, that's the sampler. There she is. The rest of the ins are over USB. On the first channel we have the FX for the System 1, which is over there. I'll get to the rack in a minute. In channel 2 it is the System 1, which is the big black thing at the bottom. 3 is the powered port for the TB03. So I'll just plug that one in, and that carries audio and MIDI all over the same one connection, so you don't have to... Oh, I love this. Boom. So that's the TV, and then the one underneath it is the TB3 touch bass line. So that's how everything is in. I should say that the drums are coming out there, split them over left and right. The kick is coming out of the left, and the snare, hi-hat and everything else is coming over the right. Would like to get it split into 3 so we could have the snare as well, but it's not possible to do that at the moment. So, coming out of the MX1, we have a left and right channel in a flavour of jack to phono, then it runs into the first of 4 Chaos pads. So I think that's the input there. Then it runs from there to this one, from this one back to this one, then to this one, and then it would run into a ultragraph, but unfortunately I'm not taking it, so I'm not gonna factor it into things. So here's the rack. That's the back of the rack. Not very interesting really. So MIDI comes straight out of the MX1, out of the MIDI output to here. Goes into this one, other way around, and that provides power for the MIDI through, which is awesome. Means I don't need any other cable to that one at all. And then it goes out to various bits and pieces, Chaos pads to the SH, to this one, and to the drum station, which I'll show you the front of in a minute. I am actually having some problems with the MIDI on the System 1M, so I'm taking a direct line from the MX. It seems to prefer that. No idea why. I think I might have turned that to MIDI through as well. I hope I have. Who knows? Anywho, let's get to the front of the rack. Okay, there's the MIDI solutions at the top. That's the MIDI through. Handles all the MIDI capabilities. Keeps everything nice and tight. Just under that we've got a Behringer. People bash Behringer all the time for being cheap. Without this thing I couldn't get the drum station, which is the next thing underneath by Innovation, into the MX, and I'll explain that in a minute. Drum station, awesome piece of kit. It's the first time I've got some cymbals in my system which sound really, really good. I just need to tame it a little. I don't really quite know what I'm doing with it. I've only had it a little while, and I only use one patch at the moment, so being pretty lazy with that. And then underneath there we have a big space at the moment, but that is because the Demora and the Torcido should be in there. Now the Demora and the Torcido have their own channel on the MX, but they are driven by the System 1M. here, so the noise that comes out of them is from the System 1 amp, but it mangles the sound, and then coupled with the beat effects and other bits and pieces on the MX1, you can really create a little groove off of it. So you know, if I remember, I'll show you guys about that later. Oh yes, we're going to talk. So the last input on the MX, it's a digital input. You're going to need one of these. I'm not going to talk about the aux send and return because I'm not using them this time, so we'll do that next time if I remember. So this is the way I get the drum station into the MX. I'm not even too sure if the cable's going to reach because it is tiny. I'll have a go. So, cable just about reaches, and that's from the back of the Behringer V amp, and it has a digital output. I bought this for playing bass a while back and didn't even realise I had that until I bought the MX, and I was like, ooh, they work. So yeah, that's how I get that into that. Okay, I'm gonna put some electricity through this, get it warmed up, and see if there are any bugs, chase any audio issues. If there are any, I will tell you about them. I will film them if they happen. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that won't happen. We'll turn everything on, everything will work perfectly, and yeah, that'd be great. Doubt it. Can you hear that? First time. No bugs, nothing. Anywho, I guess the next part of this will be some sort of live stream as I test it a little bit later tonight. Yeah, see you in a bit.
Next time it won't be 3 months. You know that, don't you? What's prisoners taught you, believe? Okay, cool.